We got 4 weeks and we have to get faster. No ifs, ands, or buts. We're gonna give you exactly what you can do during that time frame to drop your times, and we're gonna start right now. Okay, so we just laid out that visual, right? We just put you in that position. You got 4 weeks. Let's say you got a combine or you got a test coming up. You've got to drop your 40. You've got to run a faster 60, or you've got to be fast through that 10. What the heck can you do? Okay, and I want to look at that lens is that when we're talking about a 4-week time frame, that's really in our periodization model going to put us in the summit phase. So if you're in that phase, maybe you don't know what that is, you should go to garagestrength.com and pick up Garage Strength Program Design. That's where we got to really start to be specific. Okay, so training is going to be more specified. And that's where we're going to start to look through this lens. Then the next lens is, what do we need to get faster? We have to be more explosive off the start. We also have to have good technique. We have to have good positions in that drive phase, in that acceleration period. And then we also have to understand the technique that we need to attain max velocity. So when we look at that, we have to start to think about, okay, what's gonna help us get stronger so that we're more explosive out of the blocks? What's gonna help us with our speed through acceleration? And then finally, what might help us at that top end? Now, if we're looking at specific tests, we've got a 10 or a 15 or a 40 or a 60 if we're playing baseball. All of those things are gonna start to factor into these tests, and that's gonna factor into how we're gonna prepare. So now I'm gonna actually give you a 4-week layout that you guys can start today to try and drop those times. Okay, so first I'm gonna give you strength movements. Okay, so just bear with me. We're gonna go 3 to 4 strength movements, and I'm gonna tell you where that's gonna be implemented. So if we have someone who has a slow start, I wanna improve their 1-box clean or their 2-box clean or a hang clean. So I actually just gave you 3 exercises. So twice a week, we are gonna get into the weight room and do lifting-based movements, okay, resistance-based training. So that first exercise would be a hang clean or a 2-box clean or a 1-box clean. Okay, and we can just do 4 doubles. We wanna improve our strength with this. We wanna improve our ability to apply a large amount of force in a short period of time. And a lot of people now are talking about folding. How quickly can we get to the fold? Interesting. Al Vermeil talked about this when he coached the Chicago Bears to win the Super Bowl, when he coached the Chicago Bulls to win the world title 6 times. Okay, so he would talk about finishing a lift and getting into triple flexion. A lot of people would say, what's triple flexion? But now we're seeing with science that triple flexion is actually how quickly can we compress? How quickly can we get to that fold? That's gonna help us improve our overall ability to cut and be more agile, but it's also going to help us when we come out of the blocks. If we're in a compressed position and we can explode out of the blocks very quickly, and then we get back into the fold, back into that compressed position, and we know how to get out of it rapidly, that's gonna improve our start, and it's also going to improve our acceleration. So use 2-box cleans, 1-box cleans, or hang cleans to start off 2 lifts every single week to drop that speed. That second key strength exercise is going to be a movement that's gonna train you unilaterally, okay? We wanna improve that trunk control. We wanna target the hamstrings, target the glutes, and we wanna have a longer foot position in that unilateral position. That's gonna incorporate our Garage Strength single leg roller and our Garage Strength single leg pad, and that's going to use single leg squats. Now, in this theoretical workout, so we're doing the hang cleans, then we're getting into that single leg squat. We're gonna do the single leg squat unbroken. So we'll do 4 sets of 4 really fast on each leg. Okay, so if we're just lifting twice a week, the workout's gonna be hang clean, single leg squats unbroken, and then finally that third exercise is going to be a Nordic hamstring pull, and you can alternate. I'm gonna give you, so actually I'm really giving you like 6 different exercises when we figure out these lifts, okay? So the first lift, hang cleans, single leg squats unbroken, Nordic hamstrings, 4 sets of 7, slow eccentric. We wanna improve the strength of our semitendinosus relative to the biceps femoris. If that can get as strong or close to as strong as the biceps femoris, that's gonna prevent any hamstring issues. That's a real big nugget that we've gotta really hammer home. So let's say we do that on day 1. Day 3 or day 4 of that same week, we could do a 2-box clean, and then we could do a little bit heavier single leg squats. Let's say we do 4 doubles, and then we can do, instead of Nordics, we can do razor curls, okay? So razor curls are another great hamstring movement. You can do Nordics if you want, but you can also do razor curls. So those are the 2 leg lifts that we're gonna focus on. We're only gonna do that twice a week. Now, we're gonna get into the actual 3 workouts that you can use for applied running that's going to be more specific and in turn, drop those times. Okay, so that first workout for the week, this is before the leg lift. So let's pretend that the week starts on a Sunday. Okay, so theoretically this week begins on a Sunday, which is what we do here at Garage Strength, and we use this inside of our app, Peak Strength. If you guys need help with your programming, head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store, and you can pick that up today for 7 free days of training. You get 5 free workouts to try this out. Now, day 1 is going to be sled sprints, and that means actually improving our velocity decrement. Okay, so we're gonna have a sled tied to us. And what we can do is we can just put on a 35-pound or a 25-pound plate, something relatively light. And we're gonna mark out 15 to 20 yards. Typically, it's gonna be 15 to 20 yards. Now, when we're getting into this training session, we wanna look at about 8 to 12 exercises or 8 to 12 sets. On top of that, I recommend videoing. Okay, so make sure, one, you've gotta have a really good warm up. Make sure you go through a nice warm up, and then when you set up the sled, you can ease into the actual movements, okay? But one of the factors that I like behind videoing is that I wanna see where the steps are gonna be, and I wanna see how many strides I can take through 15 to 20 yards. So if we have 20 yards marked out, how many strides am I taking with the sled with 25 pounds or 35 pounds to get through those 20 yards? And then as we go through week 2, week 3, week 4, we wanna try and decrease those strides so that we can get faster, okay? So if we have the 35 hooked up and we get into that start position, we wanna focus on how is our chest driving forward, how are we driving through our quads and through our glutes and the drive phase, okay? And even what's that start position gonna look like? And then we wanna do that again, anywhere between 8 to 12 reps. Now, the other factor is that you gotta keep an eye on the time. You don't wanna see that time get too long. So let's say for a 20, let's just say theoretically it takes you 2.5 seconds or 2 seconds to run it. You don't wanna see the first 6 sets, and then all of a sudden set 7, set 8, you're looking at 2.5 to 2.6 seconds. You don't wanna see that crazy decrement there. That's a real big disparity. So when that starts to occur, terminate the workout. You don't want to be moving too slow at that point. So you just need to keep an eye on 2 things when you're videoing this sled workout. And remember, this is going to be done every Sunday or every Monday when you're starting that week. 8 to 12 actual reps, 25 to 35 pounds on a sled. We want that forward lean, and we're running 15 to 20 yards, and you're marking how many strides you take through that and what that time is, and that's gonna be that first key applied workout. Now, second key applied workout. This is where we're gonna get even more specific. This is where things are gonna start to be focusing on more power output. It's gonna be a little bit more force production, a little bit more aggressive. The sled is pretty aggressive, but this next step is gonna be a really quick way to also increase your speed. I wanna get on a hill. Okay, I wanna get on a hill, and when we get on that hill, I wanna work on one thing first. That's gonna be our start position. What does our start look like? How are we establishing that start position? We've talked about this in past workout videos. Legend has walked us through that. He's a speed coach here at Garage Strength. He showed us how we can have that 40-yard dash start, or even that 60, or even that 10 if we're focusing on that position as linemen. So we wanna establish that. Then the second big factor is establishing what those steps look like. Now, let's say we do 6 starts on the hill. Okay, we focus on those positions. After that, I wanna get into 8 to 12 hill sprints around 30 to 40 yards or 30 to 40 meters. Okay, and we wanna focus on the time, focus on the strides, focus on the technique, focus on nice drive with those knees, coming through, grounding almost, with good dorsiflex position and driving as quickly as possible. When we're looking at tests, like a 20, a 30, a 40, a 60, a lot of that is gonna be based around acceleration. So we get out on the hill, we hit that hill work, 6 starts, and then we also go into 8 to 12 actual hill sprints. Try to actually have your time established, and then as you work through the 3 to 4 weeks, when you get closer to that test, try to back off with the volume. That's gonna help you, and you wanna do that on the sled day as well. Back off on the volume that week 4 so that you can feel a little bit more fresh as you get into that test. Now, day 3. So let's say Sunday is the sled day. Monday could be the day that we do our first leg lift. Wednesday in the afternoon, that's when we're doing our second leg lift. Thursday can be a mobility day. Friday now gets us into that third sprint day. Okay, that third sprint day, what I would say is get on some turf, and I wanna run 10s and 15s, and I wanna focus on my start, I wanna focus on strides. Can I get through 15 yards or 15 meters in 4 to 6 strides, depending upon your height and how much power output you have. If you can minimize those strides through 15, that's gonna help set you up for the rest of that sprint if we're talking about dropping that 40 time. Okay, so we can do 6 to 8 of those, focusing on the start through 15 yards. We're not using a hill, we're not using a sled, we're doing very specific work. You might do another 3 to 4 sets at 30 yards, okay, and see what that time becomes. You can get that done in about 30 to 40 minutes, and then we can finish that up with about 20 minutes of a plyo workout. Okay, so that could be hurdle hops, jump lunges, single leg bounds, stair jumps. So that's the setup that you can use for 4 straight weeks. Week 1, take it easy. You got those 3 sprint workouts, you got those 2 leg lifts, take it easy. Week 2, week 3, push it as hard as you can. Week 4, cut the volume in half. That's gonna lead into that peak, and that is how you can drop your time in 4 straight weeks. Remember, head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store, pick up Peak Strength today. The worst thing that will happen is that you're gonna get 5 free workouts on your journey to attain peak strength. Because remember, freaks, if you wanna become a champion, you've always gotta cultivate your power. Peace.